Hello friends, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Elise, and this is my mystical bookshelf. And today I have for you the Valentine's Day book I had planned to do last week for Valentine's Day, but in true Elise fashion, I forgot. I really forgot. I always do that. I don't know. I plan stuff and then I forget about it. I did my videos on my days off and I was like, oh shoot, I didn't do that one. I was like, okay, whatever, it's fine. I'll just do it next week because it's never a bad time to talk about God's love. And Of Love and Treason by Jamie Ogle. I have my handy dandy notebook that I took notes with, and it is super sunny today, so I'm sorry if my lighting is kind of weird. I do my videos right near a window, so yeah, at least it's sunny. That's a good thing, right? Trying to get through the bleak month of February the best that we can, right? So anyway, Jamie Ogle wrote this amazing book about St. Valentine and his bride, Iris, and it is a beautiful tribute to what love really means, what Valentine's Day truly means, and it is so good. It was so good. It literally made me tear up while I was listening to it, and it made me cry for sure at work. You know, I'm always just putting myself through it when I'm at work. It's just what I do. And it is really a true testament of how someone with no faith can come to have faith in God, because Iris is a non-believer when she first meets Valentine, and it is really beautiful to watch her go through this transformation of believing in God. And she is a young woman, I think in her early 20s, something like that. It is the times of Roman emperors and nobody really believed in God and Jesus. I think this was either after Jesus died or right before he passed away. I'm not sure. I think it said the time frames, like as I was listening to it, what year it was in the book, but I don't remember. But yeah, so Iris is a young woman who's blind, and she kind of, I think, is either truly blind or she's just got really bad hazy vision where she can see I think she can see shadows. I think that's what it was. But she couldn't fully see anything. And so she was on a disability in the story, and she works for this shop merchant who pays her the bare minimum of someone who can't do a whole lot. She basically talks to customers and helps them, and is like a cashier, and she has to feel around and stuff to do her job fully, and she's very competent. She really did her job very well, and I think whoever she was working for would give her food to take home too, along with a wage, so that was nice. But she was praying to different gods that aren't the one true God, and she wasn't getting any results from that. And she meets Valentine, and she hears his testimony of God, and she's and Jesus. She hears his testimony about Jesus as well, and she starts to wonder, who is Jesus? Who is this God that you speak of? And what kind of miracles does he do? And Saint Valentine says that he'll pray for Iris, and Iris is at first skeptical. This is where the faith journey is, I think, very realistic for someone who has never had God in their life. I'm a cradle Catholic, so I've always had my belief in God from a very young age. But I truly believe that someone who isn't very familiar with God or God's love or Jesus' testimonies and stuff, I think they would be very skeptical. So it seems realistic that Iris is skeptical at first, but St. Valentine does pray with her. He grabs her hands and he says this really beautiful prayer. It's like, "Dear God, if Iris is meant to see, please help her regain her vision." And he prays it in the name of Jesus. And it is really amazing because a miracle does happen in this book, and Iris gains her sight back, and she becomes a firm Christian believer in God. And she does have a few mishaps in this book, and she questions her faith sometimes, and it's really a beautiful testimony of how God can change your life. And I really loved this book. It was a good testament of how someone who does believe in God and who comes to terms with believing in God, how they can still have doubts and be clouded with judgment. But she really does have good resolve in this book. And this story is basically about her and Valentine becoming one, getting married. And in this time, it wasn't legal for people to get married, I guess. So St. Valentine kind of was a person who married other people in secret. So that is why he's called like Cupid or stuff like that in the worldly sense, because he was someone who would marry people in secret. He would marry men and women in secret. And he was called the Cupid admirer in the book. I think that was his nickname. But it is a real beautiful testament of the covenant that God gave us with him giving us marriage, and how a man and a woman can become one flesh through the sacrament of marriage. And it mirrors, like a man and a woman is supposed to mirror the relationship that God has with us, and the relationship that God has with his church. And it is really amazing. It was really great descriptions. And Iris and Valentine are like an OTP, in my opinion. I don't know how true it is. I feel like it might be true that he was with someone named Iris, but I don't know for sure. I don't know how many liberties Jamie Ogle took. But it made me think of Valentine's Day in a very different aspect, because I feel like with Valentine's Day, in a worldly sense, it's very lustful, and it really promotes superficial love. It doesn't promote really deep, everlasting love. But the true story of Saint Valentine in terms of this book, it really does promote sacrificial love, and how love is in marriage is between a man and a woman, and there's no deviation from that, and there shouldn't be any deviation from that. And it's really amazing. It also showcases the power of prayer, and how powerful it can be when you have faith in God and you are vulnerable with him, and you pray to him and ask him of your heart's desire. Because as it is stated in the Bible, in one of the gospel passages, if you ask, you shall receive. If you knock, the door will be opened. If you go and look, you will find your treasure. And I don't know if that's the exact Bible verse, but that's just always one verse that came to my mind when I was reading this and listening to it. And there's also lots of good conversion stories within this book. There's someone else who converted. I have the ending with Titus converting. So there's someone named Titus. I think he's good friends with Iris. I think he's in love with Iris, but Iris is in love with Valentine. And so I think he's kind of upset about that. And he doesn't believe in God. I think he's a soldier in the book. And that's what is coming to my memory as I'm reading my notes. And I think he's the one who ended up getting Valentine persecuted, because Valentine in the end ended up being crucified like Jesus had gotten crucified. And it was really sad, but it was a really great tribute, because Valentine had done so much good in the world. he really brought forth true love for people, and he fostered really good relationships with others, and he was a really great apostle in the sense of the word. And so I think Titus, after Valentine does get crucified, I'm thinking that he converts and he is a believer of Jesus now, which I thought was really awesome. There's really great testimonies and how people come to know Jesus and how they can come to know God through the works of others, because Valentine was a really great mirror of how to love your neighbor, how to love your neighbor. That's really what the takeaway from it was with me. Was Valentine was very helpful and charitable. He loved his people. He loved his neighbors. He really wanted to help everyone, and he wanted God to be the focal point with everyone that he met and everyone that he married. And it was so beautiful. And I can't say enough good things about Jamie Ogle. Her writing was immaculate. It was perfect. I know she writes other biblical stories and retellings of saints and stuff, so I want to read more of her books. There was a really long wait time for this book on Libby, so it's definitely popular. I don't remember exactly when I read it. It wasn't near Valentine's Day at all, so that's why I kind of wrote notes, and I was like, I'm going to save it for Valentine's Day, but it didn't end up happening anyway, because I forgot about it. But yeah, I think if you really like biblical, historical fiction, and like retellings of saintly lives, I think you really like this book, and it is really great. I just loved it so much. And I don't have too much to say about it because my notes were not super extensive. I'm kind of just going off my memory. But the takeaway is that God's love is everlasting, and God's love is mirrored in marriage every day between a man and a woman. And I think really looking at it with St. Valentine and how we honor him on St. Valentine's Day is really beautiful. And I think that as Christians, we should steer away from the superficiality of Valentine's Day and really understand that it's not meant to be superficial and lustful. It's meant to be true, everlasting, biblical love. And I think that's the best takeaway that I got from this, is that God's love is sacrificial, God's love is everlasting, and we should try and mirror that as best as we can in our marriages and even in our friendships. When we get together with people, we need to try and love our neighbor the best that we can. But yeah, this was kind of a short video, so I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless, and I hope that you pick up this book and feel the same feelings that I have felt. And I thank you for watching. I enjoyed making this video as always. And next week, I'm going to be talking about Wuthering Heights. So there's that to look forward to, because I buckled down and I listened to it and it was amazing. And I'm going to give my thoughts on it. And I'm also going to give my thoughts on the movie too, because I'm not going to watch it, but from what I can see, I don't think I need to watch it, because it's in the same vein as like Valentine's Day shouldn't be lustful. But yeah, so that's that to look forward to. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments on my videos and sharing your opinions with characters. And I hope to hear from more of you soon. And this has been Elise's Mystical Bookshelf. So goodbye, friends.